In this last video, I would like to show you how I would create a table that, for example, looks like it's made out of bent plywood. So the legs and the tabletop are all one piece. We just bent the sides down. So let me go to inches. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit till I see the grid and make a sketch from the front. I also again would like to know maybe where these lines are, so I know roughly how far I have to zoom out. So this, for example, should be 30, let's say 29. Okay, and then hue to hue, maybe roughly 30. So let's say 31. So we have a 62 white table, and I move this one down, and then this one maybe to there. This maybe I can delete and delete this one. Oh, okay. I just keep it this way. I just wanted to rotate the piece, but then everything else changes. And since I'm going to delete these lines anyway, not a big deal. But this actually now helps me to roughly understand where all my parts have to be. So I will start from this point with a line up to there, and then actually I will create myself a line down from the midpoint. Escape, press this line and say construction, and then I will mirror this one over this axis over. Okay, and for example then I can connect this. Perfect, good. So now actually this I can delete, and this I can delete, and this I can delete. This one I keep. And now actually I could say you and you 30, and you see then actually this point moves. So I just work with 1/2, but ooh, what happened here? So the problem with the sketch solver is it tries to predict how you want to do things, and now this is really 31 inches wide, but it's not at the same height, so not a big deal. I say horizontal, this point to my midpoint, and there I moved it up. Perfect. 32, 31. Okay, all nice. So let's see this to this, and maybe this actually should be 29. Got moved slightly. Okay. So think about, maybe this is wood. So we could, for example, offset this one down maybe by 1 inch. And then I draw a big line from the left to the right, click OK. So we stop the sketch. And what you see is actually a nice inner selection here, and then we have this outside. So for example, now we could say this one maybe extrude out by 31 inches. Oops, I pressed enter too quickly. 31 there. So that's just a very simple table now. But maybe we want to cap one front. So then we could go extrude, select this front, 1 inch, and new body. Okay. Turn the sketch off. And there we see everything. Pretty nice. So that wasn't actually too difficult. Let's practice actually a little bit how we can do all those dimensions correctly and drive everything with a little bit more in a parametric way. So for example, what I will do is you and you 1 inch, and that is now D9. So zip, zip, double click D9, and then you, there, and D9. Which means now if I actually would set this to 3, it all updates. Stop sketch, and you see also our model updated, just not actually that small extrusion here. So if we go to this extrusion command, double click, and then say D9, zip, perfect. And if we then actually maybe would go to change there and say where is D9, that should be 1 inch, enter, where you see everything got updated. So this is a very basic way how to build, for example, this design. But let's say currently this is still joined at an angle and I would like this to be a nice and soft curve. Okay, well, not a big deal. We might have to actually go backwards a little bit and change the way how we create this drawing just a tick. Okay, so for example, this I also delete. So from this point over to there, click on the OK button and then vertical, this point to my midpoint. So now this point always will be at the center of my world. And that's actually very useful. So what I will do now, next, actually, I will create an opening in there. And we can do this with the fillet command. So with the fillet, we cut actually an arc out. But the problem with the fillet command is it is visually not very pleasing. But I can actually use this one at the beginning, kind of like to get an even reduction of the length of the line. And then I simply say bye-bye. And what I will do next is actually, you see I selected the spline command, and I will click drag out along the red line and release my left mouse button. Go to here, click and drag to the left and release my mouse button. And let's take a look how this feels. This is actually a little bit nicer. So you might say, it looks pretty much the same. So let's do a comparison. There. And there. And no, it is similar. That's true. But what we can do now is actually we can work with these handles and, for example, pull them out a little bit more. So you see we have a little bit of a sculpting ability. And now you see this handle, ooh, I broke this. So what I want to do now is I go to tangent U to there, and tangent U to there, and then, whoa, what the heck happened here? So the problem is we work with a sketch engine solver. It always tries to solve what we actually try to do, and it can sometimes get confused by it. Actually, notice I also was working on this side, so this actually I delete. So U horizontal to this one, and then this point to there. For example, this should be 31. Now that's now the next question. So we have to move this point inwards a little bit. So let's try to see how this works. It's a little bit choppy, so dragging sometimes can be a little bit sluggish. So I could say U and U, for example, be 19, and then U and U, that's kind of like how far this is out, maybe 3. And then quite easily I can adjust the values, and you see then by this way make the design a tick better. 24. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so what can I do now with here? Now I actually added those tangent constraints, and this way now I can only actually pull these handles out, move this quite nicely, adjust, for example, the way how this looks, and then this dimension between this point, and this dimension height-wise between these 2 points helps me to stabilize kind of like the way how this line looks like. I could, for example, also, instead of using the distance, maybe use an angle. So let's say 23. I meant 83. So works as well. I can actually also add dimension onto those. Right click and say aligned there. And for example there, so maybe let's say 3. This is actually D18, so D18 there. So every time when I change this value, the handle for that other value updates. Okay, nice. So with all this done, I can go to mirror and say you, and you, mirror over you. Okay, perfect. So now I do exactly the same again. I want to delete this line for the moment. This one I can move up. Interestingly, that actually should not be possible. So I want to double check this one. So you, horizontal to you. So let's see what happens now. I can't move this one. I can move this one up. That is okay because I do not have a height restriction here, there. So this line I fixed with the distance. Now I can't move this one, and this arc I can't touch because this is actually the mirror out of this one. But if I adjust the values here, then that one adjusts. Okay. So why did I actually remove the lower line? That is simply because I would like to have a loop of this one, maybe by, let's see, let's go with 1 inch. And now you see actually it doesn't go completely through because these are 2 different lines and they actually should touch, but they don't. And I have actually here my original, here I have my mirror part, so I will actually do this offset there by 1 and then again say you, mirror over you there. And because there's no bottom line, this line simply gets offset, and you see it's a little bit below the red line. That's the main reason why I deleted it. Otherwise this bottom line I drew just right now would be offset to the top as well. Okay, top sketch, perfect. And now we can do the same again and say extrude this one there, maybe 30 inches. Okay, and now we see now there we have a table where the sides are nicely arced. Now see, so not too complicated. So let's say we would like actually to make this a little bit more interesting. So we want maybe to cut a side away. So I will do a new sketch from the side. So click and maybe draw a line here, draw a line to there, go over and up and to there. Okay, and then maybe this line I move over to there. So you would ask yourself, class, why did you do this? Well, the nice thing is, check this out. We can extrude this one out symmetrically, and we say cut, and simply shave it off. And there's now, for example, the front area slightly cut. Pretty nice. Let's say, okay, I would like to fill something in there as well. So how could we do this? So I have to see now what would be the best way, because there are always multiple ways. But first, let's name our sketches correctly. Okay. So how do we do the cut? Yeah, that's the way how we will do it. Okay, so first I will actually go back time-wise to here, and then there I will add another extrusion for this inner area, and I make it pretty big and new. I make it sufficiently big. Okay, then I go back to the end here, and you see actually this piece still sticks out. So we could now actually, so I want to do a cut, but at the same time then actually I want this cut, for example, maybe to be a little bit offset. So you see actually here we have this one line. So let's go into the sketch, and I will offset this sketch, but only this line actually. Maybe, let's say 2 inches to the inside. Okay. And then the distance should also be, let's say, 1 inch. So another offset. 1 inch. Okay. And then maybe I just connect these 2 lines to just create a volume. Okay. So this sketch I hide, this part I hide. And if I'm not mistaken, now we can do an extrude of this one out, but actually say just keep the intersecting area. So intersecting volume. Okay, and I was right. And there we are. So you see, out of a bigger block, we simply shaved the form we needed. Pretty nice. So let's say, yeah, maybe, but maybe this is not too bad. But actually, what I rather really would like is actually this face to be flat. So go straight up and not be at an angle. Okay, so how could we maybe do this? So we will hide this part. Maybe let's say call this one front 1. This is our table. And let's also say it should start maybe at this point, or maybe somewhere in between. So new sketch on the ground, and then I actually will project these edges into my sketch. Just ignore the warning sign down here because I have sketches turned off there and there. Okay, so now actually I know where, for example, the front edge is, but I make myself a line. This line should be horizontal there. This line to what constraint? No. This point to there. Oh, I'm still in the horizontal constraint, not the dimension. So this point there, maybe 2 inches. Okay, then let's offset actually this one by 1 inch. There, you and you, 1 inch. Perfect. So how could this now be useful? So we can now actually create a new object, extrude, and this one. And for example, I say maybe new body to all. There. And say match shape. Okay, I'm just curious actually. Oops, and this should be a new body. Added feature. There. New body. Okay. And yeah, you see actually in this case it perfectly sits in. So let's do a small test. We could go to inspect, section view. Let's turn on our origin, click on this one, and there we can actually see that indeed there is a line here. So this part, this rectangle is being extruded up, and then this geometry simply blocks the extrusion and gives the end result. Perfect. Now we could actually turn this one off, or even right click and say delete, and it's gone. And let's say maybe this is called front 2. Pretty nice, really good. So let's say I would like to have maybe a design on it, maybe some rings or so we could create a sketch on the front face. You see actually this case, click on the face of this mesh. So actually I start drawing on that object, and maybe I will go and say circle diameter, and here in this case actually I simply use my grid. 4 inches, and again 4 inches, and so for example now I have to add some more dimensions here. So let's say you, what dimension are you? 33. So D33, and then this one is D33 and D33. Okay, maybe I actually would like to change the distance between them. So for example 5, and this is now 35. D35, you see actually this one was slightly off. And D35, really nice. And for example, this one to my sketching midpoint, this also should be D35. Okay, I could mirror this maybe over, but maybe I just leave it this way. Now what can I do with these rings? I can go to extrude, click with my Apple key, and then either extrude it out to add something to it, or for example I could completely cut through. See now there it is open, or maybe edit click, maybe we just kind of like a 1/4 inch, we cut something slightly in. Okay, Looks a little bit like Audi, I just realized. So you see the commands are actually pretty much always the same. You draw a sketch either in a side view or the front view or on actually the actual geometry, and then very much we just work with extrude, and the extrude can create a new object. It can even then cut through an object or add to it, or we could even join parts or keep the intersecting volume. That's actually the really nice part about Fusion as a software. The process in here is very simplified compared, for example, the way how AutoCAD works. And also because of everything is perfectly parametric, and with all the features in the timeline, you also have a better understanding, for example, how maybe in time did you create actually this design. So you could, for example, play the animation and see how maybe stuff was created. So this is not bad. And since you get the software for free as a student, even better. And yeah, I'm rambling. I will cut it at this. This is actually the last video for Monday. And on Monday, we will take a look at your furniture drawings and then start applying everything we have learned in these videos then actually in the next week to your own design.